Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. Today's crochet tutorial is for the Daisy Granny Style Baby Afghan. I showed how to do this block about a week or two ago, and now I made all my blocks. I put this adorable little blanket together. Just a great Easter time or springtime Afghan made with those beautiful pastel colors. Now you can make this Afghan larger if you wish by just adding more blocks to however wide you want it and however long. This Afghan here measures 35 inches by 41 inches, just a perfect size for a baby Afghan or maybe a small toddler blanket. I'll be right back and I'm going to go over all the materials that you're going to need for this Afghan. So now let's go over the material list of what you're going to need to make this Afghan. So if you want to pause the video, you can copy this down if you'd like to order the yarn for your Afghan. Or if you have yarn in your own stash, then this is the amount of yarn you're going to need to make this Afghan. Now, if you would like to order the same yarn I used with the Premier Basics, I'll have a special link in that description box. Click that link, and if you spend $25 or more, you'll see on the top of the page that you can save 10% off your order. And if it's your first time ordering, pay attention to the pop-up, and you can save 15% off your very first order with Premier. So it's a win-win. You can save either 10% off a $25 order or 15% off your first order. So now to go over the material list of what you need to make this Afghan. Now with this material list, you'll notice that I have one skein, two skeins, and then over here I have the actual ounces of what I used out of each one of those skeins. So if you have yarn in your own stash that you want to use, then this is about how much you need to use. And then if you want to order it online and get the same exact colors that I used and the same exact yarn, then you would have to order it by the skein, and this tells you how many to order. So I wanted to go over just a little bit about the material list. Here you can see all the colors. You're going to need a crochet hook size H8 or 5mm, and you're also going to need a yarn needle. Now with this Afghan, I used 2 skeins of white, and then I used 4 skeins of the 4 colors of the lemon, the pink, the lilac, and the light blue. So I want you to look at the skeins of yarn, and these are 7-ounce skeins, and I only used about half of each of these colors. So that tells you that if you wanted to make more blocks, you have plenty of the colors for the flowers to make more blocks. You do have to order more of the white and more of the Seaglass green if you want to make more blocks, but they would be the only 2 colors, is the white and the Seaglass green. You would have to order more of these colors in order to make the Afghan larger. Now with the Seaglass, this yarn here, I wasn't sure what to do because I don't like to write down more yarn than I really used, you know, because it adds up when you're buying these extra skeins of yarn. But this Seaglass, I come right down to inches. I mean, right down to just maybe a couple inches from the skein. So I didn't know whether to write, you know, 8 ounces or 2 skeins. It all depends on your style of crocheting, if you pull more out. I just want to bring that to your attention because if you're a real loose crocheter, you may run out of yarn. But again, I come within inches. I mean, you may end up with more yarn than me. It just depends on how much you pull off when you go to start the block, how much you leave, you know, when you cut that block off is going to depend how close you are to that end of that skein. So use your own judgment. If you like to know that you have extra, then you may want to order an extra skein. So now let's jump right in and let's get this project started. I have my yarn attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. I'm going to begin with the chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to take your hook and you're going to slip stitch into the 4th chain from hook. So bring your hook back to that 4th chain and slip stitch. yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. We just made our little ring, and now we're going to work all of our stitches of row 1 right into the center of that ring. Now if you have a different preferred method of working in the round to start that round 1, you can go ahead and use whichever method you prefer. For row 1, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this beginning chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So now we're going to work 11 double crochet into the center of this ring. So if you're a more experienced crocheter, you can just work 11 double crochet into the center of that ring and then jump ahead on the video. So for my new crocheters, to make a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, you're going to insert from front to back right through the center of that ring, yarn over, pull back through, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's how you make a double crochet. So we need to make 10 more double crochet into the center of this ring. So make another double crochet into that ring, double crochet into the ring, double crochet into the ring. Continue and make 7 more double crochet in the center of that ring, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1, and when you look at your work, you should have your beginning chain 3, that's 1 stitch, and then you should have 11 double crochet around for a total of 12 stitches. To join our round, we're going to count up to the top of that beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top of that chain 3 and work a slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 1 is finished. So now I'm just going to fasten off my work. Now when I fasten off, I chain 2. I go 1, 2, I pull my hook up and pull that yarn out. I grab the yarn, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So now I'm going to just turn my little block over, and I'm just going to clip that piece of yarn because I worked my stitches over that piece of yarn as I did my stitches. So now we're going to start round 2. So you're going to grab the color that you want for your flower. Now I'm using lavender, so what I do is I just tie my yarn onto my hook. And again, I use a double knot for just about everything. So I have my new color attached to my hook. Grab your circle that you made. So now to join my new color, I'm going right up where I fastened off. This is where I fastened off, and you'll see here are the 2 loops. So right where you fastened off, go right underneath those top 2 loops, and it may be tight due to when you fasten off, it tightens up that stitch. So now just pull your yarn a little snug, and then you're going to slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and then through the loop on your hook. And when you look at your work, you can see how that attached your yarn securely. So now with this round, this is where we're going to work a puff stitch. We're going to work 3 triple crochet into this same stitch, and we're going to leave the last loop of each stitch on the hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook, and that's going to make our floral, our petals of our flower around our circle. So I'm going to take this slow and walk you right through this process. Now the first puff stitch is going to be made differently than the rest because the first puff stitch we're starting with our starting chain. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now this beginning chain 3 is going to count as our first triple crochet with the last loop on the hook. So now we need to make 2 more triple into that same stitch, leaving the last loop on the hook. So you're going to yarn over twice. You're going to insert back into that same space where you joined your yarn, yarn over, pull back through that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and then you're going to stop and leave that last loop on the hook. We need to do that one more time. You're going to yarn over twice. You're going to insert back into that same space, yarn over, pull back through that stitch. You now have 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and stop. So now you have your second triple made, leaving the last loop on the hook. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And remember, this first puff stitch is made differently than the rest because of the starting chain. So now we're going to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So when I work the rest of this round, you're going to take your yarn where you fastened off plus the beginning of that new color and just hold it right up against your work, and you're going to work your stitches right through the stitch and right underneath those strands. So that is how you weave your ends in as you go. So now we're going to begin the repeat. You're going to yarn over your hook twice. You're going to insert underneath the top 2 loops of that next stitch. Insert underneath the top 2 loops and underneath your extra leftover ends because we're weaving them in as we stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull through that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and stop. You have 2 loops on your hook. This is our first triple, leaving the last loop on the hook. You're going to yarn over twice. You're going back into that same stitch, front to back, yarn over, pull back through that stitch, and now you have 5 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and stop. This is your second triple crochet, leaving the last loop on your hook. And if you get confused, you'll see this is your chain from this chain 3 part, and then you worked 1, 2 triples, leaving that last loop on the hook. We need to do it one more time. You're going to yarn over twice, bring your hook back to the front of your work, insert from front to back into that same space, yarn over, pull back through that stitch, and now you have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and stop. When you look at your work, you'll see you have your 3 triples, leaving the last loop of each one of those triples on your hook. You have 4 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. Your puff stitch is made. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat. So let me walk you through it one more time, and then you can continue on your own. You're going to yarn over twice, insert into the next stitch, so follow that stitch up. You're going right underneath the top 2 loops, and then go underneath those strands of yarn that you have that you're weaving your ends in as you go. Yarn over, pull back through that stitch. You have 4 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and stop. You made your first triple, leaving the last loop on the hook, and you have 2 loops on your hook. We need to do that 2 more times. Yarn over twice, insert back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch. You have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. You now have 3 loops on your hook and 2 triples, leaving the last loop on the hook. We need to do that one more time. Yarn over twice, insert from front to back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch, and now you have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. You now have your 3 triples made, leaving the last loop of each one of those triples on your hook, and you have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. and that is the end of the repeat. Now this may be intimidating for some of my new crocheters, but just take your time, take it step by step. If you need help, click back on the video and repeat from the start of the repeat till the end of the repeat, and just take your time working around. So go ahead and repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 2. I'm over at the end of round 2. This is what your work should look like. Now you should have a total of 12 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you do not have 12 petals, then recount your stitches in round 1. Make sure you have 12 double crochet, and then check to make sure you did not skip a stitch when you were working around your round 2. So we end with that chain 3, and now we're going to join our round with a slip stitch in top of our first petal. You're going to insert your hook under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So now you're going to fasten off your work. Again, I chain 2, pull my hook up, and then just pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So row 2 is finished, and now we're going to start round 3. So I'm going to grab my next color, and I'm using the Seaglass green. This is one of the premier basic 4 worsted weight yarns, and I just tie a double knot again around my hook. I'm going to grab my work, and it does not matter whichever chain 3 space you want to start. You do not have to start at the first one. You can start in the second one, the third one, the fourth one. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to attach my new color in any of the chain 3 spaces. Insert your hook right into the center of that chain 3 space. You're going to yarn over your hook, pull it back underneath that and through the loop on your hook. And this secures your yarn and starts your new color. So that's how you join your colors. So now we're going to take this circle and we're going to square it up into the granny square. So what we're going to do is we're going to work our corners in triple crochet, and then we're going to be working double crochet between the corners. So let's begin. We're going to start with a chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This beginning chain 4 counts as our first triple crochet. So what I like to do is I like to grab that little bit of yarn that when I join my yarn, hold it up against my work, and I'll be working all my corner stitches right into the chain 3 space and around that piece of yarn. So let me show you how to make a triple. You're going to yarn over twice, insert into that same chain 3 space from front to back, yarn over, pull back through. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's how you make a triple crochet. Work one more triple into that same chain 3 space. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2. If you need to, just pull your stitches over. And now we're going to work 3 more triple into that same chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. And when you look at your work, this is going to create our corner. We have our beginning chain 4, 2 triple, a chain 2, which forms that corner, and then 3 triple. Now the reason we're using triple is because we need a little bit more height in the corners to get this to form our square. So now we're going to work 3 double crochet into the next chain 3 space. To work a double crochet, again, you're going to yarn over once, insert into that chain 3 space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. You need to work 2 more double crochet into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. And you can see how it's starting to form our square and be flat instead of round. We're going to work 3 more double crochet into this next chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. So one side is finished. So now we're going to work the other 3 sides. Now this side is worked a little bit differently because that chain 4 counted as the first triple crochet. So let's begin again, and this is the start of the repeat. You're going to work 3 triple crochet, chain 2, and 3 triple crochet into this next chain 3 space. There's our first triple, or treble, however you pronounce it. Two, one more, and 3. You're going to chain 2 for the corner, and now we're going to work 3 more triple into this same chain 3 space. There's 1, 2, and 3. So when you look at your work, you can see that our circle is now turning into a square. So let's continue. We're going to work 3 double crochet in each of the next 2 chain 3 spaces. There's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet into that chain 3 space. We're going to do it one more time, and we're going to work 3 double crochet into this next chain 3 space. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and our 3rd double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So what you're going to do is you're going to click back on the video, and you're going to start where I say this is the start of the repeat, and you're going to work your corner of 3 triple, chain 2, 3 triple into the next chain 3 space, and then you're going to work 3 double crochet in each of the next 2 chain 3 spaces. You're going to repeat that twice, and then you'll be at the end of round 3, and I'll meet you there and show you how to finish the round. I'm over at the end of round 3. This is what your work should look like. You have your 3 triple, chain 2, 3 triple in the corner, and then 2 sets of 3 double crochet. Your 3 triple, chain 2, 3 triple in the corner, and then 2 sets of 3 double crochet, and you repeated that around. So now we're at the end of round 3, and we're going to join. You're going to come up to the top of that beginning chain 4, count up 1, 2, 3, 4, insert your hook into the top of that chain, and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. You're going to fasten off. Again, I chain 2 and pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So we have 1 round to go, so let's go ahead and finish our block. I'm just going to tie my new color around my hook. So now we're going to go ahead and join our new color, and when I start a round, I always start my rounds in my granny squares in the corners. So I insert into that chain 2 space, yarn over, pull back through that space, and then you're going to pull through the loop on your hook, and that's what attaches your new color. We're going to start and work our corner. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this creates our first double crochet. We're going to work 2 more double crochet into that same corner chain 2 space. There's 1 and 2. So now we need to form our corner, so just pull those stitches back. You're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work 3 more double crochet all into that same corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. And you can see how your corner is made. You have the stitches for this side starting, you have your chain 2, and then your 3 stitches going across the side we're working on now. So now to work across our block, all we're going to do is work 3 double crochet between each group of 3 stitches across. So let's begin. You're going to skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group of 3, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that is what we're doing around our block. So now this is started differently because of that beginning chain 3 for the first double crochet. So now I'm going to show you the repeat from start to finish. So we're going to start the repeat in the corner, and we're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. So if you need help, you'll click back to this part of the video to start your repeat. You're going to work 3 double crochet into that next corner chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to chain 2 to form the corner, and now we're going to work 3 more double crochet into that same corner chain 2. 1, 2, and 3. And when you look at your work, you can see that your corner is made. We transitioned from one side to the other side with our chain 2 as the corner. Skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group right into that space, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do it one more time. You're going to skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group of 3, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat. And you can see we made our corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then you're working 3 double crochet between each group of 3 stitches across to the next corner. And then you start again. So this is the end of the repeat. So if you need help, click back on the video. So go ahead and repeat that around, and I will meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4. This is what your block should look like, and now we're going to go ahead and join. I just worked my last set of 3 double crochet across the fourth side of our block, and now we're going to join with a slip stitch right into the top of that beginning chain 3. Count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top of that chain and slip stitch. Round 4 is finished. So I'm going to fasten off my work. This is the front side of our block, and this is the wrong side, so you'll have to weave in all these ends when you're finished. So these are the 4 colors I am using. So now, since you know how to make the daisy square, I'm going to show you how many of each color that you're going to need to make. So if you want to grab a pen and paper, you can go ahead and write this down. Let me just put it right here where you can see it. You're going to need to make 11 squares of the yellow flower. So all you're doing is changing colors in row 2 to what this chart here says. So you're going to make 11 lemon yellow squares. You're going to make 11 pink daisy squares. You're going to make 10 of the lilac squares, and then 10 of the light blue squares. Now this is if you're making the exact Afghan that I'm showing you how to make here. If you want to make your Afghan larger, then of course you can do many more squares and make this Afghan the size you wish, and then you can decide which order you want to put your blocks in. So this video is just showing you exactly how I made mine. So if you need more time to write this down, then just pause the video and you can write that down. The next step we have to make is once you get all your squares made, you have to put them together. Now, if you're an experienced crocheter and you have your own certain method, then by all means go ahead and use your method for joining and go ahead and join those squares. So I'm going to show you the block placement chart next, and then we'll get into putting the blocks together. So once you get your blocks all made, then this is how I put my blocks together. I did them row by row. Here's the color code here, so go ahead and pause that video if you need to write this down. We're starting with the yellow block, and then we're going to join the pink to the yellow, the lilac to the pink, the blue to the lilac, the yellow to the blue, and then the pink to the yellow. And we're going to do 1 row at a time and join those blocks. Then we're going to go to row 2 and join our blocks in the same manner. Then row 3, and then after we get all our rows put together, then you're going to join your rows. Now when I place my blocks, I try to make sure that there's not 2 of the same color side by side. Now you can have them diagonal like this, but I never like them to touch side by side or up and down. I always like to offset them a little bit so no 2 colors are right next to each other side by side or up and down. So let's jump right in and let me show you how I join my blocks together. Now sometimes when I'm working on an Afghan, I'll do all my blocks and then I'll lay them out on my studio floor. And what I do is I'll start with row 1 and then I'll start clear over on the right side. I'll start with the last block that I want to join. So this would be the last block, and then the next block I stack on top. The next block I stack on top, and I'm just going across row 1 and I'm stacking these one on top of the other in the order that I'm going to put them together. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take the color white here, the matching color, or whichever color you prefer. Now I'm using the same color white because it's going to blend in and you won't notice that color. Now I already attached my yarn to my hook with a double knot. Because these are stacked in the way that I'm going to put them together from the first block over to the last block, I'm taking the first color block, the yellow, and then I'm going to take the next block and I'm going to lay it right beside the yellow. I'm going to push these aside, and then right sides are facing towards me. You're going to take the block on the right and you're going to flip it over on top of the block on the left. You want to go down to the bottom right hand corner and we're going to attach our yarn. So just put your hook in there, turn your block, and then we're going to insert our hook into that first chain of that corner. You're going to match it up to the first chain on the one below. Now I'm going to single crochet my blocks together on this Afghan. Now I'm going to join my color and make that yarn secure. I'm just going to slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on my hook, and that secures our new color. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going right back into that same first chain of the corner and work a single crochet. Insert into the next chain of that same corner, match it up to the one below, and work a single crochet. Now we're just going to single crochet in each stitch across. We're going into the front loop here of the stitch. Now this white's a little bit harder to see. Go into the front loop of the top block, and then you're going to go into the back loop of the matching stitch below. So it's front then back. Work a single crochet. Find your next stitch, and again, I'm sorry this white really seems to have a glare. Follow that next stitch up to the top, insert into the front loop only, and then match it up to the stitch below. This is the center stitch. You want to match it up to the center stitch below and go into the back loop. Work a single crochet. So let's do a couple more stitches together. You're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, match it up to the stitch below, and go into the back loop, work a single crochet. And we're just going to do that across the row, matching stitch for stitch over to the corner chain 2 space. So let me show you one more time. Find the next stitch, insert into the front loop only facing you, match it up to the stitch below, and go into the back loop and work a single crochet. I'm going to continue working across my block, and when I get to the corner chain 2 space, I'll be back and show you how to finish joining your blocks together. And now I'm back to that corner chain 2 space on the other side. We're going to work 1 single crochet in each corner chain 2 space. Insert into that next chain, match it up to the one below, work a single crochet. Find your next chain, here it is of that corner chain 2, insert your hook into that chain, match it up to the one below, insert into that chain, work a single crochet. And that's all there is to joining our squares together. So now I'm going to fasten off, and I like to leave a little bit longer length because it helps me when I have my yarn needle trying to weave in those ends if you have a little bit longer length. So when you open up your work, you're going to see you have that nice little ridge that helps make your granny squares lay nice and flat and just a really nice look to it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to grab your paper, and you can see here is row 1. We did our yellow, we did our pink, and now when I get my pile, my next color is the lilac. So make sure you have this paper when you're joining your blocks, and just double check as you're joining your blocks that you have them in the order of which block goes where in each row. So you're going to look, I need the lilac, so I have my lilac block, and then you're going to do the same thing. You have this part of your row done, you grab the next block that the chart tells you to use, you're going to lay it right side up, this is right side up, this is right side up, and then you're just going to flip it over onto that block, and then I stick my hook into that corner and I swing it around. That way you know this is the corner you start. So then you're just going to repeat back on the video where we joined our yarn. You're just going to click back. You're going to start where we joined our yarn into that first chain 1 space. You're just going to insert your hook into that first chain, insert it to the matching chain below, and then you're going to slip stitch through that first chain and through the loop on your hook to secure your yarn. You're going to chain 1. You're going to insert back into that first chain, work a single crochet. Insert into the next chain, match it up to the one below, work a single crochet, and you're working through both thicknesses. You're going to insert into the front loop of the top square, and you're going to insert your hook into the back loop of the bottom square and work a single crochet. the same method that we joined the first 2 blocks together. So go ahead, click back on the video to where I started with joining our yarn into that first chain of the corner chain 2 space, and then grab your chart, and then you're going to start putting your rows together. So grab your blocks, grab your paper, and then do row 1, set it aside, do row 2, set it aside, and continue until you have all 7 rows completed, and I'll be back and then I'll show you how to join your rows together. I'm back. I have all my rows put together. Each row is 1 block by 6 blocks long in either the order that was on the block placement paper or in the order of whichever way you want to put your blocks together. So now for this Afghan, I'm assembling my rows together from the top of the Afghan down to the bottom. So I have row 1 and row 2. They're lined up right underneath each other and they're right side facing. So I'm going to take row 2 and I'm going to flip it up over row 1. So when you join this together and open it, then your rows are in the correct order. So go ahead and take row 2 and just flip it right up over top of row 1. Your wrong side is facing. So now when you're working from the top down on an Afghan, you have to make sure that you're starting in the bottom left corner to work across the bottom of this to join it together. If you work across the top, it's going to be in the wrong placement. So it depends if you're working from the top down or the bottom up of where you start joining. So you're going to have to go over to the bottom left corner. So what I like to do is stick my hook right into that corner chain 2 space, have your hook there, and then you're just going to spin that around because we're going to be working across this edge. I'm going to join my yarn. I'm using the same color, that same color white. So to join the yarn, we're just going to go right up into that first chain space, just like we're joining 2 blocks. Insert into the first corner chain 2 space and match it up in the first corner chain 2 space in the row below. You're going to be working through both thicknesses, yarn over, slip stitch through those 2 loops, through those 2 chain stitches, and through the loop on your hook, and you can see that attaches your yarn nice and secure. You're going to chain 1, insert back into that same beginning chain, work a single crochet. Insert into the next chain of the top block in the corner chain 2, insert into the matching chain in the work below, in that row below, work a single crochet. So now we're just going to work in the same manner like we're joining the blocks together. You're going to insert your hook into the front loop of the next stitch, match it to the stitch below, and you're going into the back loop. Work a single crochet. Insert into the front loop of the next stitch, match it up to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work a single crochet. Continue in that manner and work 1 single crochet in each stitch across until you work into that last double crochet of that first block. Stop here when you get to that space, and I'm going to show you how to join on each side of that joining seam. So go ahead and continue working 1 single crochet in each stitch across, working into the front loop of the top block, the back loop of the bottom block, matching those stitches across to this space here at the joining seam. I'll meet you here when you work your single crochet into that last double crochet before the joining seam, and I'll show you how to join across that joining seam. And now we just worked in that last double crochet of the last cluster across that square. You're over to the joining seam, and you'll see that that joining seam is raised from where we single crocheted together, and that there's an opening here. And when you look on the bottom square, you'll see that big opening. We do not want to work in these openings. You'll notice that on the bottom block, here's 3 strands of yarn, 1, 2, and 3. That's pretty tight there, but you can see when you put your hook in there, there's really 3 strands. And then same with the top. Now, sometimes this will cross and it'll be really tight together. So if it's so tight you can't see that second strand of yarn, you can just go under the top strand. So what I do when I get to my corners, you skip that big opening and you come up to those 3 strands of yarn and insert between the second and third strand. Match it up to the one on the bottom. Again, you'll see 3 strands of yarn. If you really pull your work or stick your hook in there, 1, 2, and there's one under it. I'm going right under the second strand of that yarn. And then I'm going to work a single crochet through both thicknesses. So now you can see your joining seam here where it's raised, and then you'll see the 3 strands of yarn on the other side, 1, 2, 3, and then that big opening. Same with the bottom. You want to look for the opening, come right up above that opening, and you'll see 3 strands of yarn, 1, 2, 3. So insert your hook on the top block between the second and third strand, and this one's a little harder to see, but it's there. Insert between the second and third strand, and then insert between the second and third strand of the bottom block. Work a single crochet. And that's all there is to working across the joining seam. So you can just click back on the video and you're just going to repeat that over and over again until you get to the end of the row, and I'll meet you at the corner. So go ahead and work 1 single crochet. You're working into the front loop of the next stitch of the top block. You're going to insert into the back loop of the matching stitch below, work a single crochet in that manner, clear across your block, and then work a single crochet between the second and third strand on each side of the joining seam right above that big opening. So you're going right between that second and third strand. So go ahead and work across, and I'll meet you at the ending corner chain 2. I just worked across the entire row, and now I'm clear over to the ending corner chain 2. You'll have 2 chains remaining. You're just going to insert into the first chain, match it up to the chain below, work a single crochet. Insert into the next chain, match it up to the chain below, work a single crochet. Go ahead and fasten off your work. I chain 2, pull my yarn out, and then just pull down and it creates a secure knot. So you just crocheted across your row, and when you open your work up after you fasten off, it's going to be upside down. So you just want to make sure you turn it around and then grab your placement chart. If you didn't write that down, write it down if you're trying to follow along exactly as I'm doing. I just got done crocheting row 1 to row 2. I just fastened off here, and now I'm going to open my work. Now when I open my work, you'll notice that my work is upside down and it's on the wrong side. So you have to swing your work around, and the yellow should be in the corner, in the top left corner with the lilac below. So then what you're going to do is grab your paper. Now I worked ahead and I already have the rest of my rows crocheted together. So what I'm going to show you how to do is the rest of joining your rows together. So here is row 3, and I have it lined up. I have my pink, my yellow, my blue, my lavender. So I'm following my code and know that this is the right row. So instead of flipping from the bottom up, what we're going to do is once you get that row lined up, you're going to take the top of your work that you already have attached and joined together, and you're going to flip the top row over onto that single row that you're joining. That way you don't have to turn your work. You're going right up into this top right corner. So once you do that, you're going to join the rest of the rows in the same way. So if you need help with how to crochet across the row again, then click back on the video to where I start in the corner by joining the yarn. Follow that across to the end of the row until you have them joined together. Once you join them together, then just open up your work. You'll see that row 3 is attached. Line up row 4 underneath row 3, and then take the top and flip it back down over row 4, and then start in the top right corner and crochet across. Now if you're left-handed, I'm not sure if that's different because I'm not used to crocheting left-handed. You may have to start in the left corner if you're left-handed. So however you're used to doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting my rows together, and when I get it all done, I'll be back and we'll get the border started. I have all my rows put together. This is what the Afghan looks like. This is the top of our Afghan. I worked down. You should have 6 blocks across and then 7 rows long. So when I get all done, I'll show you what this looks like. It's just I don't have enough room to get the whole thing in my camera screen. So we're going to go right ahead and start our border. I'm trying to do just a really simple border for this Afghan. So we're going up to the top right hand corner of our Afghan. Your Afghan should be right size spacing, and we're going right up to this corner of this corner pink block in the top right corner. I already have my yarn attached to my hook, and I'm going up and I'm going to join that yarn right into the corner chain 2 space with a slip stitch. Insert into the corner chain 2 space, yarn over the hook and pull through that space and pull through the loop on your hook. You can see this attaches your yarn nice and secure. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this counts as the first double crochet. We're going to work 2 more double crochet into the same corner chain 2 space. 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2 for the corner, 1, 2, and we're going to work 3 more double crochet into that same corner chain 2 space. Yarn over, insert into that corner chain 2 space, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And you can see how it has the first part of the corner on one side, the chain 2 forms the corner, and then the other 3 double crochet have you going across the other side. So let's go ahead and work across the top of our Afghan. You're going to work 3 double crochet in between each group of 3 double crochet across that first block, and then we're going to stop here at the joining seam. So right at this last set of group of 3 double crochet, we're going to stop. So let's begin. You're going to yarn over, skip the next 3 double crochet, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, skip the next 3 stitches, insert your hook between the skip 3 and that next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, you're going to skip the next 3 double crochet, insert into that space between the skip 3 and the next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So now we're over to the end of the first block. We have one set of 3 double crochet remaining, and now we're getting ready to start our repeat. So when we start this repeat, you're going to use this same process to work around all 4 sides of your Afghan. So if you need help with this round, you would click back to this point where I say this is the start of the repeat for round 1. So the repeat starts right at the joining seam between your blocks. We're going to skip this last group of 3 double crochet into that first current block, and now we're going to start the repeat. We're going to work 2 double crochet into the space on the right side of the joining seam. 1 and 2. We're going to skip the joining seam and we're going to work 2 double crochet into the corner space of the next block on the left side of that joining seam. Yarn over, insert into that space, and work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Now the reason we're using 2 stitches instead of 3 is because this is a shorter width on that joining seam. It's not as wide as 3 double crochet, and if we add too many stitches, then it's going to be too many and it'll have a wave to your design. So now we're going to work 3 double crochet in between each group of 3 double crochet 4 times across the next block. So let's begin. Yarn over, insert into that next space between the current set and the next group of 3 double crochet, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. If I'm going too fast, then just pause the video, and when you get caught up, start the video again. Yarn over, skip the next 3 stitches, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, skip the next 3 double crochet, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. We're almost done. We have 1 to go. You're going to yarn over, skip the next 3 double crochet, insert between the skip 3 and that next group, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that is the end of the repeat. So for working across to the corner, you're going to work 2 double crochet on the right and left side of that joining seam, and then you're going to work 3 double crochet 4 times in between those sets of 3 double crochet across. And then you'll see you have 1 group of 3 double crochet remaining, and then we're going to start again to where I say that was the start of the repeat, and work our 2 double crochet on the right and left side of that joining seam. So if you need help, just click back on the video, repeat that across to your next corner. I'll meet you there and show you how to do the corner. I just worked across the top of my Afghan. This is what it looks like, and now I'm over to the corner chain 2 space. So once you get here to the corner chain 2 space, it's exactly the same as when we started, only instead of chaining 3 that we did at the beginning of the row, we're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet into this corner chain 2 space to start the repeat around the remaining 3 sides. So yarn over, insert into that corner chain 3 space, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 3 more double crochet into this same corner chain 2 space. Yarn over, insert into that corner chain 2, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. So if you need help, click back on the video. Again, you're going to work 3 double crochet between each group of 3 double crochet 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you're going to work 2 double crochet into the corner chain space on the right side and left side of that joining seam, and then you're going to repeat 3 double crochet between each group of 3 stitches 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get to that joining seam, you're going to work 2 double crochet on the right side and left side in those corner chain 2 spaces. You're going to repeat that across to the corner, and then you're going to start all over again, working 3 double crochet into the corner, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then repeat the pattern across. Repeat that around the remaining 3 sides, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1. This is where we started. We worked all the way around and then come back on the 4th side. This is what your work should look like. We're getting ready and we're going to join into the top of that beginning chain 3. You're going to skip that last group of 3 double crochet, count up 1, 2, 3, insert into the top of that chain 3, and slip stitch. Now we're going to start the final round of our border, round 2, and we're going to begin with the chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to come down and we're going to skip 3 chain. 1, 2, 3. You're going to insert into that 4th chain from hook and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. So what we did is we're starting the row with our beginning chain 3 counting as a double crochet. That other chain 3 we made into a picot stitch. So now we're going to continue. We're going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to come back, bring your hook to the front of the work, and you're going to go down through from top to bottom through the front loop and slip stitch. You just made your picot stitch. So now we're going to start our repeat. Our repeat is going to start in the corner chain 2 space and then run down the side of the Afghan until you get to the next corner chain 2 space, and you're going to repeat that around all 4 sides. So if you need help, you're going to click back. This is the start of the repeat for round 2. You're going to yarn over, insert into that corner chain 2 space, and work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Bring your hook to the front of the work from top to bottom down through the front loop only and slip stitch. We're going to do that one more time into that same corner chain 2 space. Yarn over, insert into the same corner chain 2 space, work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, bring your hook around to the front of your work. Take your hook from top to bottom down through that front loop only and slip stitch. You just made your picot stitch. So in the corners you're working 2 double crochet, a picot stitch, 2 double crochet, and a picot stitch. So now we're going to start down the side of our Afghan, and we're going to be working across to the next corner chain 2 space. You're going to yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Chain 3, Bring your hook to the front of the work, go down to the bottom of that chain 3 to the front of that double crochet stitch, insert from top to bottom through the front loop only, and slip stitch. Your picot stitch is made. So let me do it a couple more times with you. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, work a double crochet. Chain 3, bring your hook around to the front, go from top to bottom down through the front loop of that last double crochet stitch made, and slip stitch. So I'll show you one more time and then you can continue down to the next corner. Double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. You're going to chain 3, bring your hook around to the front of your work, take your hook from top to bottom down through that front loop only of that last double crochet stitch made, and slip stitch. This is what your work should look like. So go ahead and repeat 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, chain 3, and work your picot stitch in the top of the last double crochet made. If you need help, just click back on the video, repeat that down to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I just finished going across the top of our Afghan and I'm over at our corner chain 2 space. So when you get to the last stitch, you should have worked a double crochet and a picot stitch into that last stitch. So let me zoom out and show you what this looks like a little bit more, showing you more of that last round. So when you look at your border, it almost looks like a little picket fence, just a nice little accent to finish off this border. So now what you want to do is you're going to click back on the video and you're going to start where we started in the corner chain 2 space. You're going to work 2 double crochet, a picot stitch in the last double crochet made, and you're going to do that 2 times in the corner chain 2 space. Then you're going to continue working this same pattern that you did here. You're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then work your picot stitch. Double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, work your picot stitch, and you continue down to your next corner chain 2 space and just continue around the remaining 3 sides. So I'll meet you at the end of round 2. This is what your border should look like. So you can see that just beautiful little accent to our Afghan. And now we're getting ready to join. Now when you work the Afghan, you started by working a chain 6. You had your picot stitch right into the top of that beginning chain, and when you finish round 1, because you started with this double crochet picot, you're going to end with just 1 double crochet. So yarn over, insert into that next stitch, work a double crochet. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the 3rd chain of that beginning stitch. Count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook from front to back and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and pull through the loop on your hook. I'm going to fasten off. And our Afghan is finished. So now we got to weave in all those ends, and I'll be back and show you the finished Afghan. Our Afghan is finished. Thank you everyone for stopping by today and crocheting with me and making this adorable floral baby Afghan. The link to this pattern is in the description box underneath the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the crochet fun. Happy crocheting everyone!